Now for our second segment, frequent travellers to Seattle in the United States would be happy to know that Singapore Airlines will be launching a direct non-stop flight to the city starting September 3rd. And if you've already been to some of the more popular cities such as New York, Los Angeles and San Francisco, maybe now is the perfect time to check it out. To tell us more about the draw of Seattle, I have travel editor Siew Hua with me. Hi Siew Hua.
Hello.
Right. So you've been to Seattle many times because especially since when you were based in Washington DC for a couple of years. Can you tell us the draw of Seattle? If you could sum it up in a sentence.
Yes. I find it a very, very cool global city that's immersed in nature. It's cuddled by all these high mountains and great lakes and evergreen forests.
How many times have you been to Seattle?
I would imagine 6 to 8 times. Yeah.
That's quite a lot.
Yes,
And you've traveled to many cities as well. So how does Seattle compare to the other cities that I mentioned, like New York, LA?
Yeah. I find Seattle much more lighthearted and livable and more naturalistic than New York, LA, SF. Yeah. At the same time, yet it's just as world-changing, just as fun, inventive, charismatic as those big American cities. Yeah. And one thing that strikes me is that it is a home of Starbucks, Microsoft, Boeing, these world changes that have just long disrupted the way that we drink coffee, for instance, or we fly.
So will you say there's a Silicon Valley kind of vibe going on in Seattle?
Yeah, it's a world of tech billionaires also. So you can, Jeff Bezos, Amazon founder, has got his lakefront property, and Bill Gates too, Microsoft. Yeah.
So I'm assuming that because these people are there, there's also a lot of cultural things going on. There's a lot of obviously good coffee, because I'm sure they all need coffee. Right? So can you tell us what to eat, what to see, and what to do in Seattle?
Yeah. So I spent a week plus there recently, and it was filled with good food, indie coffee, chocolates, and wine, because the state produces. It's the second biggest producer of wine after California, and it's a much smaller state. So chocolates, for instance, we went to a chocolate factory, and there everything is handmade. So like the sprinkling of smoked salt on caramels, which are the favorite of the Obamas, the former presidential couple, right? And there was more about food. We had a 3-part movable feast once, starting with oysters and bubbly at the waterfront, then doing a short trek up to the woods to have foraged morels.
Which is mushrooms, right? Morels.
Yes, morels.
It's a fancy name for mushrooms.
Yeah. Fancy, woodsy, yeah. So it's so cool. And then there you feel like, I'm a minuscule part of the universe. And then the last part, the third part, was grilled tacos, grilled Caesar salad. Yeah, by the beach.
So as I'm hearing you describe Seattle, a big city, then there's nature nearby, there's good food, good coffee. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it does sound a little bit like Melbourne.
Melbourne.
A little bit like Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne has all this great coffee too, and then it's there are all this. The great outdoors would be just a short driving distance away. Yeah, and there's I guess that chill, laid back, livable sense about the place, because Melbourne is routinely called one of the most livable cities in the world, right? Yeah, and Seattle is definitely that.
Will you say that Seattle is great for families or young couples, or who is it more suited for?
It's got all its different phases, so it's great for adventure, soft adventure and tough adventures. Families too, because you'll have all this interactive museums and playgrounds and great summers, and you go blueberry picking, which I did once. You can watch falling stars, and families would find it fun, I believe, because it's got that. It feels safe and lighthearted.
So maybe you've already talked very happily about it. Can I ask you, what were the highlights of your trip when you went in June?
Yeah, so I love all the high places. So there was, I had this glimpses of Mount Rainier, ruggedly gorgeous, from many parts of the city itself. So it's visible right from downtown. Yeah. Then there were, I took a seaplane ride, so hovering over the Cascades Mountains. So imagine that we fly over Seattle, and then in minutes, we're over the mountains looking at the secret waterfalls, its unseen lakes, and where no human foot has touched. And there are also man-made high places, like the revamped Space Needle Tower, and it's pretty cool.
It's very good for Instagram because
Yes.
you get a very nice view.
Totally, yeah, from 300 feet in the air, 500 feet, so about 115 meters, where there are this new transparent glass benches and this slanted walls where you can pretend that you are floating or flying over the city, and then post this sky-high selfies on Facebook and Instagram to scare your friends.
I wouldn't dare. So there is another highlight as well. You said in Fremont.
Yeah, Fremont, because it represents all that is fun and quirky and zany about Seattle. It's got Seattle has got this side, this character. So that's where in Fremont I encountered this gigantic troll lurking under an expressway, and in its paw there's this Volkswagen Beetle car. So it's like, don't be its breakfast. Of course, and Fremont calls itself, for a tiny, maybe obscure place to us, it calls itself the center of the universe. And so there's this colorful sign and an intersection showing the direction and how far we are from Taiwan.
Oh, okay. Of all places to
there's more. There's Milky Way and the lost city of Atlantis. So it's very
a bit quirky, isn't it?
Very big.
Right. So as you mentioned earlier, Seattle is the home of Starbucks. So of course they would have a roastery there. Have you been there? And can you tell us about it?
Yeah,
What's the special drink at that roastery?
Right. They have a cold brew bar and changing flights of coffee. I had one that was that tasted like bourbon and vanilla. So it's not available here, but hopefully soon. There's an Italian cafe there. So it's actually very chic, 15,000 square feet, but lots of chic, cozy corners, and there are wash basins overlooking the roastery and the fragrance, the aroma of coffee everywhere. Yeah.
Now, last question. When is the best time to go to Seattle?
Summer. So summer would be the months of, I guess, August, July, because otherwise, there might be a misty, very fine drizzle. Yeah. So summer, the sunlight will be until perhaps like 10 p.m. It's gorgeous. Yeah. But even when it drizzles, which Seattle is known for, I find the people so optimistic. They say that the drizzle makes everything tranquil, and the rain brightens all the colors.
The silver, certainly a silver lining in the cloud. So thank you, Siew Hua. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you'd like to know more about Seattle and read about Siew Hua's trip, you can look out for her travel story this weekend in the Sunday Times. Those were our top stories for the day, and thank you for joining us. For more news and videos, do log on to straitstimes.com. Once again, I'm Alyssa. For more big stories, see you next week.